Welcome back, watch fans. We got another amazing watch market update for you today. We're discussing Bitcoin, Patek Philippe, Trump tariffs, possible recession, and one of the biggest dangers for watch collectors, for the peasants who, basically are chasing yesterday's hot fad, hot trend. Okay, you're trading yesterday, you're chasing yesterday's trade. All right, so first of all, let's talk about what's going on in the world of Trumpistan. And, the El Trump, the greatest American president since history, reported that he doesn't mind. Something along the lines of he does not mind a recession. If it happens, it happens, If it happens, it happens. What does that mean? Well, look, the tariffs, there's going to be a couple of things happening, right? There's going to be a couple of things happening over the next, a couple of months. You got the tariffs, you got this, you got that. Look, here's the reality, right? So the El Trump, he needs to get the interest rates down, okay? You understand that? There's like $10 trillion of debt that's coming up over the next 12 months that needs to be refied. It's got to be refied. It's like, when you have a commercial property and, it's not a 30-year mortgage. It's like sometimes a 5, 7-year type of deal. And you got to pay back the money. And if you can't, if the value of your property is underwater, you basically lose the property. That's what's happening in a lot of these office buildings, right? And the U.S. needs to refinance like $9 trillion in debt. Okay, $9 trillion in debt. And if they can drop the interest rates down by 1 or 2%, that's a big deal. By the way, on the wrist we got the Patek Philippe 5134, I believe, the travel time. I'm going to be talking about this watch. Is this watch investment worthy? By the way, in case you don't know, this channel, the whole purpose of this channel is two things. Purpose number one, for you to send money to the channel, send those wires. Purpose number two is for you to make money with watches, so you can double, triple your money wearing watches like this for a couple of years, which you're gonna enjoy, but also increase in value. And once you make money from those watches, then you're gonna send more money to this channel. You understand how that works? It's a virtuous cycle. Okay, so bottom line is the El Trump, he is willing for the U.S. to go into recession so he can get the interest rates down. Now, what's happening is the NASDAQ, the Bitcoin are all breaking through some real key support levels. Okay, if you look at those charts, and again, I always say the charts don't lie. Okay, and those charts are telling you that again, it could, you never know with these markets. They could always, turn around, but right now, it's broken through some key support levels. You got kind of like a double top on, Bitcoin, NASDAQ. And I've always been saying, look, Bitcoin, I'm very concerned about the cryptos as being a systemic risk to the markets because it's just pure speculative bullshit. There's no real fundamental underlying basis to it, right? So, again, but what do I know? I mean, sometimes you could be wrong for 100 years. I don't know. Look, maybe I'm just too old to understand this. These boomers. All right, so let's talk about number two, making money with watches. We got on the wrist the Patek Travel Time, a great value. Should you buy this watch today? Maybe. Now, this watch I purchased 3 years ago. Okay, my thesis, that's right, the thesis was, okay, this is basically, again, now I bought this at the peak of the market, pretty much like 2021, 22. I think I paid like 20 for it. Maybe, no, 19. I think I paid 19, full set. Box papers, 19.5, whatever, a little bit under 20, I think it was. And my thesis was, wow, this is, at the time, this represented deep value, okay, compared to the comps, which was the Aquanaut Travel Time, the all the Travel Time watches from Patek, which are based on this. This is the original, okay? This is the real deal, okay? So my thesis was, when serious collectors realize that, I'm talking about collectors, not peasants like you guys. Some of you bukyaks watching this channel, you guys from Kyrgyzstan, Chomostan, and Bukyakistan, you guys don't understand these things. But okay, but what happens is, I'm betting on not the casual, like, not the tomato cans. I'm not talking to tomato cans. Okay, I'm talking about real collectors who buy watches based on their kind of historical importance, collectible value, etc. Okay, so this is going to go way beyond your heads, because a lot of you guys are just mongoloids. But consider it this way. Consider it sort of a historically important work of art, right? You may not like it, okay? You may not find it aesthetically pleasing, but it could be historically important and extremely valuable because it fits into like a certain art historical context. Okay, this is going to go beyond your head. But anyway, look, the bottom line is my thesis was that these were deep value. And, I thought that these could go to, 30, 40 grand. Also, one of the things is, it's a very modern looking, very modern. Hang on a second, we got some green here. Okay, if you notice here, we got the green of the strap. This is shark skin, by the way, from Jean Rousseau. And we got the Pall Mall here. Pall Mall, menthol, green, spring, the color of spring. Can you see that it's green? Yeah, you guys, I don't know if it's in the sunlight, it's hard to see. Anyhow, look, it's a very modern, you got a modern Patek. It's a very modern looking watch. You got the 369 that all the tomato cans love. We know the tomato cans love that 3 and 9 thing with the Explorer. You got the pushers. You got the pushers on the side. You got like a large case. This is actually like a 30, it's a 38 millimeter, I think. It fits well, actually, because of the way the lugs go down. You got the crown guards, you notice, and you got the pushers, which basically make it, give it sporty elements. Okay, this watch has sporty elements, and it's a relatively classic modern design. Now, there are things I don't like about it. I think the fonts on the subdials, I'm not crazy about the fonts on the subdials, but everything else I love. I love the dolphin hands, and of course you see the ghost hand. I got the time in Paris right now because, a very busy businessman, and, this gives me, I can't calculate 9 hours. It's too much work, right? But here I see it's, 4:50 in the afternoon, Paris time, right? You understand how that works, right? Now, here's the thing. This watch, I've been wrong. I was wrong on the trend. Look, we've had some major wins. That's why you got to subscribe and join the channel. We told you about the 3940. That's more than doubled. Patek Perpetual Calendar 3940 more than doubled in value during that time, same time frame. The Ellipse has doubled in the last six months. Audemars Piguet Royal. I can go down the list of winners, right? But this, you can't be right all the time. Listen, anybody who tells you that, they have 100% hit rate is a liar, right? Look, I'm just happy not to lose money. But the idea is to make, again, the idea on the channel, the target return is, let's just say, two to three times your money in, let's call it 2 to 5 years. I'm giving you kind of a rough idea because, again, it's not like a financial asset, right? It's a hard asset. It's more of a, what do they call it? They call it a passion investment. It's like you're investing in wine. You're going to drink it. You understand what I'm saying, except this is not consumable, right? You can wear it for 1,000 years. But bottom line is, I've been wrong on this. The value of these watches right now is back pretty much. It hasn't moved. It hasn't moved at all. I mean, you can get one of these right now, full set, for same price. That's right. You can get a full set. You can get a full set for about 20 right now. Should you get it? I don't know. I'm kind of I'm a little bit neutral on it, only because I think that what is it? I think that I don't know. I just don't have the feeling that the collectors are really gonna rush into this. And I think when they do, which I think they eventually will, it's gonna take a lot longer. Okay, it's gonna take a lot longer. It's a little bit like my Rolex turnograph thesis. The Rolex turnograph thesis, very similar to this, okay? Both historically important watches, right? The turnograph of Rolex. But, and there's some smart guys have been saying, it's time for this thing to go. But, what happens with the markets, just like with financial markets, something could be just sitting, right? Like, I mean, the thing makes sense, right? You're right? But it's like uranium, right? Like uranium, You could have been buying uranium stocks, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, and they were like basically dead, sitting and sitting and sitting. And then all of a sudden, within a year, all the return is made, all the money is made within a short space, right? So ideally, you want to buy as close to that like inflection point as possible, right? But come on, you're human, right? But that's the thing. Okay, ideally on this channel, we're trying to buy these watches as close to that inflection point as possible, because again, you want to have that, the IRR. The longer it takes to make the money, the lower your IRR, right? Am I right? Is it the CAGR, CAGR, whatever? You understand what I'm saying, right? So I think that this is eventually going to take off, but you know what? I think it's going to be a couple of years. So let's say the watch is worth 30 grand in another 5 years, which I think is possible, right? It's not going to be that great. That means basically that's like a 3% return, 4%. So it's basically a loser. I would say it's basically a loser, but you're getting your, is it a bad trade? Yeah, obviously you don't want to do it, but it's an enjoyable watch and everything else. So, it works out. What you don't want is you don't want to be upside down, which a lot of these tomato cans will be. So speaking of upside down watches, I want to tell you about one of the greatest dangers for watch collectors, which is a lot of you guys are chasing these trends that are done, like Cartier. I saw a live stream yesterday. I tuned in. It was the Cuckistan, the O'Cuck, and the watch cucks. And they were talking about, I don't know, you got the Twinkistan, the Prince of Twinkistan, the Soigego guy, whipped out some sort of Cartier, whatever, and he had to explain to people, oh yeah, well, this movement, the watch is kind of a dog, whatever. It's kind of a funky it's not a bad looking watch, but like very unremarkable design. And this tomato can paid 40 grand for it. 40 grand. Now this watch was like, you couldn't give it away for like, 15 grand 5 years ago, right? He paid 45 grand for this watch. Because, I don't know, because look, these guys are chasing, they're hype chasers. They're hype chasers. These Cuckistani channels, the Bukyakistan, JJ Bukyak, Archie Luxury, the O'Cuck Cuckistanis, they're chasing hype, right? On this channel, we're the opposite. We get in early on the ground floor and we exit. Okay, so I'm looking at Cuckistan and Archieville as providing that exit liquidity. Okay, so those are the guys we're selling to in 3 years. You understand how that works? So like the Cartier trend is over. Okay, the time to have been buying Cartier was 5 years ago, really, 4 years ago. And there's nothing great about Cartier. So the guy has to explain, well, this movement was made by the partnership with Vianney, whatever. It doesn't matter. Listen, anytime you have to explain the watch or explain something, it means there's something wrong, right? It means there's something wrong. So yeah, so look, Cartier is dead money. It's going to be upside down. If you buy any of these Cartier hype watches, I'm telling you right now, seriously, all bullshit aside, you're going to lose your money. You're going to get turned upside down and shaken out. All right? Especially back to, we're doing the Trump weave. We're talking about the recession. Yeah, so look, I think Trump is very open to having a recession. The financial markets do need to cool off. They've been overheated. We got to get the inflation down. And so look, you can get the inflation down and you can get the interest rates down in one fell swoop. Now, there's going to be some short-term pain, right? You got to, no pain, no gain, right? So you're going to have some short-term pain in the first year. And by the way, historically, markets do badly in a president's first year in office, right? Now, technically, it is his first year, but really it's kind of a weird, but in his first year, he actually did well, as did Biden. So we've had but we're going to have a reversion to mean. I think we're going to have a reversion to mean. So, which means that I think the market could take a hit, right? And what that means for watches, for you tomato cans, what does it mean for the tomato cans? What does it mean for the tomato can market? You know what it means? I'll tell you what it means. It means a couple of things. It means, number one is that the Rolex is dead money. Okay, modern Rolex, dead money. Modern Patek is even worse. Okay, if you buy modern Patek, and by the way, this is, I'd call it neo vintage. This is not gonna, by the way, this watch is gonna be dead money. It's dead money for, you know, I already went through that thesis. Although I do expect the Patek 3940, the perpetual, I expect the Ellipse to do well over the next 12 months, regardless of the economy. Why? Because those watches appeal to, you know, they appeal to somebody with discretionary income where it's not going to really matter, right? They appeal to like a true collector, and it's not that much money for a true collector, right? We're talking about, you know, I mean, it's expensive, obviously, but it's not like crazy money for, you know, people who are real collectors, right? But for the peasant stuff, we're talking about the Rolex, the basic bitch Rolex. It's all going below retail, okay? I'm talking about the middle class watches, right? The stuff like your sales manager buys. The guy at the Muppet mortgage refinance, or I don't know, whatever. Your Muppet, you know, whatever these Muppet salesmen, hey, car salesman, car sales, used car sales manager. So those guys would normally buy like a Rolex day-date, right? Or a GM or a gold Submariner, right? So those watches are going to be very, very hard hit. I believe they're going to be very, very hard hit. And already we're seeing right now all day dates, even beautiful. There's some beautiful watches, some beautiful stuff right now from day date. 36 with a gem set on the dial. You got the meteorite dial 40. I said this before. Those watches are dropping real fast. They're already at a discount to list. Okay, and we're not even in a recession yet. And by the way, allegedly we're getting a hot market. No, it's just reverting. It's reverting to the mean. It's reverting back to normalcy. And the normalcy in Rolex is the precious metals always sold at a discount to list. And especially what's going to happen if there's a recession, those things are very sensitive. So it's going to get hit even harder. The trend is going to accelerate. Okay, the trend is going to accelerate. Bottom line is modern watches are going to take a hit. And I'm talking about, by the way, when I say modern, I'm talking about Patek. I'm talking about your Patek Nautilus, Royal Oak, modern Royal Oak, Nautilus, Patek. All that shit is going to get slammed. Why? Because the people who are buying those modern watches, a lot of them are flexors, right? They're very susceptible to, you know, a couple of slow months, and, you know, they can't pay their mortgage or whatever, right? So it's very sensitive. There's a lot of people who are, you know, taking out HELOCs to buy watches, or taking out, you know, buying watches on credit cards. You know, it's a whole big thing, right? So those people are going to get squeezed, and it's going to happen over the next couple of months, right? But again, like we've been saying on this channel, there are watches that will, again, you have a bifurcation. You got a bifurcation in the markets. You got some watches are going to continue to do well. Now, I'm only talking about the ones I'm most bullish about is, again, I'm not trying to talk my own book, but, you know, the Ellipse, the Perpetual 3940, I think those are going to do well. But I think, for example, the stuff that went up crazy, like those, let's call it the geezer watches, stuff that's non-Ellipse. You're talking about the AP Cobra that we were promoting last year that went up from 6,000 to, you know, what is it, 35,000, right? 35,000. That one is very, very, very susceptible to take a big hit. Okay. Let me tell you, so a lot of these tomato can vintage watches, Rolex vintage, you know, a lot of that, you know, your Daytona Submariner vintage, very, very susceptible to taking a big hit. Okay. And all you need is for one of these Muppet Boiler Room channels to get liquidated. You know, they get margin called, they get liquidated, and, you know, all that inventory hits the market, and it's a real systemic risk. We're talking about, you know, the whole world could collapse. And definitely the market is dropping faster than Juan and Kino's pants in the Arkansas farmhouse. In the Arkansas farmhouse with the dog trainer, with Curly, and the Oak. Unbelievable but true. Unbelievable but true. All right, gentlemen, let me know what you peasants think. Leave your nasty and vicious comments below. And what else? That's it. I have nothing else to tell you. Make sure you send money now to the channel. This is your #1 channel for money-making horological activities. And see, you don't want to be like these peasants here, lining up to turn the corner. You know, you got Archie in his C-class. Unbelievable but true. Unbelievable but true. All right, guys, make sure you click the like, subscribe button. Leave your vicious and nasty comments below.